Preview features results, photos, elimination round recaps, top fuel round 1:11:23 a.m. You like upsets? Then you'll like the first round of top fuel eliminations. Terry Haddock got the third round win of his career, and his second against Tony Schumacher when Schumacher had to pedal it midway down the track. Haddock ran a 4.043, which was good enough to turn on the win light and set up a race against Sean Langdon, who took down Clay Millican in the opening stanza. Points leader Steve Torrence will get a shot at avenging his dad, Billy Torrence, who bowed out to fellow blocker car Richie Crampton in the first round. Second round pairings lane choice: first Steve Torrence vs. Richie Crampton, Brittany Force vs. Doug Coletta, Sean Langdon vs. Terry Haddock, Antron Brown vs. Leah Pritchett. Funny car round 1:11:54 a.m. Dan Wilkerson scored the upset of the first round, taking down a tire-smoking Courtney Force with a 3.975-second pass. That was one of two Wilkerson wins in the first round, as his dad, Tim Wilkerson, also turned on a win late against Cruz Pedregon. The Wilkersons will race Jack Beckman and Yanni Lindberg, respectively. Robert Hight and Ron Capps both moved on to the second round, with Hight laying down an incredible 3.828 pass to reset the track record at a speed of 338.6 miles per hour. That's the fifth fastest speed of all time. Hight now owns 6 of the top 10 speeds in the funny car category. Second round pairings lane choice: first Robert Hight vs. Alexis DeJoria, Tim Wilkerson vs. Yanni Lindberg, Ron Capps vs. John Force, Dan Wilkerson vs. Jack Beckman. Pro Stock round 1:12:10 p.m. The cool conditions that descended on Texas Motorplex for race day made a huge difference for the Pro Stockers, as 7 of the 8 first-round winners bettered Bo Butner's 6.588 low qualifying time, led by Tanner Gray 6.532 and followed by Butner 6.535, Jason Line 6.550, Drew Skillman 6.552, Brian Self 6.561, and Alex Laughlin 6.562. Based on his incremental times, Greg Anderson also had a run quicker than 6.58, but a timer malfunctioned. Didn't give a true ET. Only Erica Enders, who shook to a 6.70 after Kenny Delco's red light, was slower. Second round pairings lane choice: first Bo Butner vs. Drew Skillman, Greg Anderson vs. Erica Enders, Jason Line vs. Alex Laughlin, Tanner Gray vs. Brian Self. Pro Stock Motorcycle round 1:12:30 p.m. Reigning world champ Jerry Savoy put the bite on the field with a 6.855 low ET of the meet in beating Gunnar Courtney, but the news was not near as good for his White Alligator Racing teammate and championship contender Ellie Tonglet, who was upset by rookie Joey Gladstone. Points leader Eddie Kravik moved on with a 6.885, the second best run of the round. Second round pairings lane choice: first Eddie Kravik vs. Karan Stauffer, Scotty Polacek vs. N.G. Smith, Jerry Savoy vs. Joey Gladstone, Matt Smith vs. Andrew Hines. Top fuel round 2:1:07 p.m. Steve Torrence had a wild ride in his dragster, after it went out of control and smacked the guard wall, and still grabbed the win light against Richie Crampton on a hole shot. Torrence walked away from the wreck under his own power after winning by 0.005 second, and he'll face Brittany Force in the semis if the Capco team can pull a backup car out of the trailer in time. Antron Brown took down teammate Leah Pritchett to keep his championship hopes alive, while Sean Langdon got a solo run after upset-minded Terry Haddock couldn't make the call for the second round. Semifinal pairings lane choice: first Brittany Force vs. Steve Torrence, Antron Brown vs. Sean Langdon. Funny car round 2:1:40 p.m. There will be a Don Schumacher racing car in the funny car final. Ron Capps beat a red-lighting John Force, while Jack Beckman got a ride into the semis unopposed when Daniel Wilkerson's car broke before it had a chance to get to the starting line. Robert Hight got into the semis against Daniel's dad, Tim Wilkerson, by outrunning Alexis DeJoria with the quickest pass of the round, 3.865. Wilkerson got the better of Yanni Lindberg, who smoked the tires. He's looking for his first wally of the season. Semifinal pairings lane choice: first Robert Hight vs. Tim Wilkerson, Ron Capps vs. Jack Beckman. Pro Stock round 2:1:55 p.m. Drew Skillman defeated number 1 qualifier Bo Butner with a 6.538 and will take on Butner's teammate, points leader Greg Anderson, who ran 6.572 in the semifinals. Anderson's other teammate, Jason Line, will also be in the semifinals on the other side of the ladder after getting by Alex Laughlin by 0.006 second. He'll take on Brian Self, who beat Tanner Gray, who took a wild, slaloming ride in his defeat. Semi-final pairings: Lane Choice first, Drew Skillman vs. Greg Anderson. Jason Line vs. Brian Self. Pro Stock Motorcycle Round 2, 1:55 p.m. Eddie Kravik raced to a stunning 6.785 low ET by more than half a tenth to defeat Karen Stauffer. Matt Smith and Andrew Hines engaged in a protracted starting line rundown, then Smith beat the former world champ on a 6.84 to 6.84 hole shot to reach the semifinals. Smith will take on Jerry Savoy, who ran 6.84 against Joey Gladstone's red light. Semi-final pairings: Lane Choice first, Eddie Kravik vs. Scotty Polacek. Jerry Savoy vs. Matt Smith. Top Fuel semifinals: 2:54 p.m. Brittany Force will get a shot at her third Wally of the season. She took down points leader Steve Torrence in the semifinals after the Capco Contractors team's Mad Thrash got the Texan back in action in quick order after his big crash in the second round. That's a big win for Force's championship hopes, as she moved within 4 rounds of Torrence with her victory. She can get a round closer if she brings home a Wally and a cowboy hat. She'll have to beat Sean Langdon to do it, as he took down Antron Brown in the semis with a stout 3.702. Force ran a 3.685 and will have Lane Choice in the final. Funny Car semifinals: 3:11 p.m. Robert Hyde and Ron Capps will go head-to-head in the final round after a couple of very solid runs in the semis. Hyde took down Tim Wilkerson with a 3.898, while Ron Capps beat teammate Jack Beckman with a 3.905. So, it's a meeting between first-place Capps and second-place Hyde and, perhaps more importantly, the crew chiefs. Jimmy Prock has had a great handle on the funny car driven by Hyde, and the same can be said of Rand Tobler, who tunes Capps' Napa Auto Parts flopper. A win by Hyde can pull him within 4 rounds of the points leader. Pro Stock semifinals: 3:15 p.m. Jason Line, runner-up 2 weeks ago in St. Louis, reached his second straight final round and third of the season after Brian Self shook the tires and shut off in the semifinal duel. The hopes for an all-KB Racing final were dashed in the other pair when points leader Greg Anderson was defeated by Indy champ Drew Skillman. Skillman will have Lane Choice based on his superior semifinal performance, 6.55 to 6.59. Pro Stock Motorcycle semifinals: 3:20 p.m. Eddie Kravik, who opened the countdown playoffs with back-to-back wins in Charlotte and Reading, is in position for a third win to add to his points lead after beating Scotty Polacek in the semifinals. Krawiek's 6.85 earned him final round Lane Choice against defending world champ Jerry Savoy, who ran 6.86 to trailer Matt Smith. Kravik has 5 wins on the season, Savoy 1. Lucas Oil Sportsman results: in addition to the mellow yellow action in the countdown to the championship, Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series also was contested in 9 classes. Final round results: Alcohol Dragster Todd Bruce pictured def. Megan Meyer Alcohol Funny Car Doug Gordon def. Annie Whiteley Comp Clinton F def. William Hatcher Super Stock Slate Cummings def. Pete Peary Stock Thomas Marlowe def. Jeff Lopez Super Comp Craig Anderson def. Ryan Harem Super Gas Tommy Phillips def. Jerry Debisk Top Dragster Shane Epper Jesse def. Wade Pennington Top Sportsman Greg Lair def. Aaron Philpott Pro Stock Motorcycle Final 4:11 p.m. Eddie Kravik, far lane, collected his third win in 4 countdown events and extended his points leader over Ellie Tonglet to more than 100 points after Tonglet's teammate, Jerry Savoy, fouled in the final round. The win is Krawiek's 6th of the season and 42nd of his career, 3rd all-time in the class. Pro Stock Final 4:14 p.m. Reigning world champ Jason Line, far lane, scored his first win since the season opener in Pomona, collecting the win after Drew Skillman red-lighted by .001 second. The victory is the 47th of Line's Pro Stock career and 49th overall. Line previously won this event in 2011 and 2013 and also was runner-up in 2005. Funny Car Final 4:20 p.m. It's Proctober after all. Robert Hyde, far lane, got right back into the championship hunt by taking down points leader Ron Capps with a 3.877 second pass, while the Rand Tobler-tuned Napa Auto Parts Dodge ran a 3.927. That gets Hyde and tuner Jimmy Prock within 2 rounds heading into the final 2 races of the season. Top Fuel Final 4:22 p.m. Brittany Force, far lane, earned Wally number 3 by 0.001 of a second. The Monster Energy dragster outran Sean Langdon's Global Electronic Technology dragster by .012, driving around the Top Fuel pilot's .011 hole shot. That gets Force within 3 rounds of points leader Torrence with 2 races to go. Features Steve. Torrence is racing for a championship, but he's also racing with his dad, Billy Torrence, for the rest of the season. Steve qualified number 1 while Billy finished in the number 9 position. And know what it felt like to have a child, and put somebody you loved in a race car until my dad got in it, and then I was like, Dad, this is a terrible idea, Torrence said. You really sure you want to do this? Because that super comp car is great. But it's great to be able to do this with him. The aforementioned K. Torrence has been a fixture on the NHRA drag racing tour all season, and that's not about to change now that Billy has entered the fray. Nor is her race day routine. I told her already that since Dad's here, you can't change anything about what you've been doing, said Steve. He's just collateral damage over there hanging out. She's been doing great. It keeps her busy. Typically I see her a few times through the weekend because she's busy mingling and visiting with people everybody else, and now I think she's making sure my dad doesn't pull his hair out. If both Steve and Billy win in the first round, they'll meet up in the second round. That would be an intriguing matchup for anyone with a ticket to Texas Motorplex on Sunday. If we can get to that point, it would be fun, said Steve. It would also be one of the toughest races all day, because usually it's bring it all. I look forward to that. It would be fun. We'll see what we can do. We need to go every round possible to try to get as many points as we can. He holds a 55-point lead over Doug Coletta entering race day. Going rounds would help increase that lead. Texan Terry Haddock wasn't in the show for his home state race when he pulled his Diesel Tech Services dragster to the starting line in Q4 Saturday, but the gutty independent powered his way into the show with career-best performances of 3.841 and 309.42. It's been trying to do that all year. Dumb things just happen, he said. We're never financially prepared for what can happen with one of these cars, so we just do the best we can with what we have. It was important for us to qualify for us because it allows us to keep going down the road to Las Vegas. We just keep trying. We're not smart enough to give up. Just qualifying was half the battle, but he had to face the winningest driver in Top Fuel history in round 1 in Tony Schumacher, but Haddock expressed confidence based on previous encounters with the Sarge. People forget that I beat him at the Chicago event in 2009 and ended that long first-round winning streak he had, and ex-wife Jenna beat him in my car in Denver in 2014. We've beat him before, so we'll just go at him again, said Haddock in the pits before the opening round. That confidence proved worthy as he defeated Schumacher, who smoked the tires, giving Haddock his second round one of the season. He first, in Denver in June over Sean Langdon, was his first since beating David Grubnick in St. Louis in 2010. Unfortunately for Haddock and his all-volunteer crew, they were not able to turn the car around in time to make the second round call, a shame as scheduled opponent Sean Langdon smoked the tires on his bye run. In his first start since the Seattle event in his home state of Washington, Sean Red put together a good sequence of runs in qualifying with the Hughes Oilfield Transportation Patient Racing dragster with a trio of 3.8-second passes, including a career-best 3.81, and could have had 4 if not for a piece of flapping blower belt that pulled the wires from the Leahy safety device at 700 feet, slowing him to a 3.92 in Q4. Reed's stay in eliminations was short as he fell in round 1 to Antron Brown, but Reed will be busy over the next few weeks. He'll compete at the NHRA Toyota Nationals in Las Vegas, then head the following weekend to Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park in Arizona, where he'll be driving his Pro Mod drag boat, dubbed Top Secret, on the man-made lake there in pursuit of yet another Lucas Oil Drag Boat Racing Series championship. All he needs to do is win the first round there to clinch the title from closest challenger Shelby Eberts. Can't touch this boat. After that, he'll continue his westward trek, ending his rookie season at the Auto Club NHRA Finals in California. The good news for Wilkerson fans is that Daniel Wilkerson will be joining his famous father, Tim, in eliminations today, 2 days after his special edition Summit Racing Texas body was heavily damaged in a blower explosion in the first qualifying session. The younger Wilkerson, competing in his first event since the 2016 four-wide Nationals, had run a career-best 3.98 on the pass, so the damage was doubly heartbreaking. The damage was not limited to the body as the chassis also took a hit, but after repairing the chassis the decision was made to use of Tim's spare Shelby bodies, with additional Summit signage, so that Daniel could race on Sunday. I robbed Peter, which would be Tim, to pay Paul, which would be me, to where I have enough stuff together to run, said Daniel, who will race Courtney Force in round 1. The team came together and helped, and we worked on our car all through qualifying. During the third session, we started it and had a few sensors that weren't working, so I went back and fixed those. I had to switch out the computer, and as soon as I was done I walked up to watch Q4. We could have probably rushed and been able to make that session, but at this point, we have one blower and one intake. We decided it was best to save it for race day. That best was even better, and he bounced back in round 1 with a 3.97 that upset championship contender Courtney Force, but problems after his second round startup kept him from facing off against Jack Beckman. Jack Beckman knows that his chances of winning a second funny car championship probably ended 2 weeks ago with a second round loss to Don Schumacher Racing teammate Ron Capps, but the driver of the Infinite Hero Dodge still has winning in mind, beginning with this weekend. I'm just going to be a realist, let's just look at facts and separate the emotion, Beckman said after his loss in St. Louis. That round was our championship round. If we won that round, we stay in the race, keep earning points, and move closer to the top cars. We lost against the number 1 car and it increased the spread. That was the biggest round of the year for us. Unfortunately, somebody had to come out on the losing end, and that was us. So that one stings bitterly. We can't control what the cars ahead of us do in the points from here on out. We can still win 12 rounds, and that's absolutely our goal. Beckman says that a win this weekend would not only mean a lot for a move up the standings, but from a personal viewpoint, too. I went to the first national event at Texas Motorplex in 1986, and at the 21 venues we race at, there is no location that I want an NHRA Wally trophy from more than Dallas, Beckman said. I've won in Supercomp at Pomona. I've won at Indy. Dallas is 100% at the top of my list. That's the one that I want the most. I don't care about points. I want to win Dallas. Beckman's father, known to many as Slow Bob Beckman in contrast with his son's Fast Jack handle, has been a Texas resident for nearly 30 years. The younger Beckman would like nothing more than to present his dad with the Wally and the coveted black cowboy hat for winning the Fall Nationals. Robert Hight made a huge pass in the Texas heat to get his 8th number 1 qualifier of the season. That 3.871 second run moved him a thousandth ahead of Ron Capps, earned him 3 bonus points, and got him on the other side of the ladder from the current funny car points leader. What made the run so impressive is how it compared to the other runs from the session. The second best run from the final qualifying session came from Tim Wilkerson, a 3.938 second pass. That puts Hight's pass a solid 0.06 of a second ahead of rest of the field, a huge achievement by crew chief Jimmy Prock. I wasn't expecting that run, said Hight. I was expecting a 3.92, something around there, to be a solid top half car. And you start thinking we're going to be down in the ladder, 6th, 7th, 8th with a 92. And that's uncharted territory for us. Jimmy Prock just has a handle on this car. This is the 3rd straight number 1 for Hight, who has made a habit of collecting those green hats. That hasn't turned into wins in the countdown quite yet. He has 1 win this season as a number 1 qualifier, but not in the playoffs. He gets Jim Campbell in the first round, but doesn't get a crack at points leader Ron Capps until the final at the earliest. You can see a lot of times when we've qualified number 1, it doesn't matter who we're racing, well set low ET of race day, said Hight. Prock races conditions and races the track. He doesn't play small ball. These are the conditions we've seen Prock and Hight thrive in previously. The duo is chasing points, a Wally, and a championship. Fans are hoping to see a big number on the board in the process. The Jim Head-owned and tuned funny car driven by Yanni Lindberg has been on a particularly good run over the past few races, culminating in a final round appearance in St. Louis. Lindberg followed that up by qualifying number 4 in Dallas, which didn't exactly get him an easy matchup in the first round. Two-time champion Matt Hagan. You go out and qualify good and you get a badass in the first round, said Lindberg. I said I'd arm wrestle him instead. The Swede is never short of confidence or good humor, but this is going to be settled on the racetrack. Lindberg isn't racing for a title after missing out on the countdown, but Hagan basically has to win the Wally at Texas Motorplex in order to stay in the title fight. The pair are 11 against each other in previous matchups. Lindberg took down Hagan in Gainesville, the Swede's first ever funny car race, to reach his first final round. He's still looking for his first Wally. There's no better time than as a spoiler in the countdown to do it. Update: Lindberg had to pedal his car, but he turned on the win light. He ended up having to wrestle somebody after all. It was just his flopper, not Hagan. The KB Racing trio of Bo Butner, Jason Line, and Greg Anderson qualified 124, with only Tanner Gray breaking up the party in the number 3 spot. Butner and Anderson, who swapped the points, led throughout qualifying before Butner emerged as the leader, face a potential semi-final clash if both get that far. line is on the other side of the ladder. The ladder is set up well for us. I'm just a little disappointed I lost bonus points this weekend, said Anderson, whose bonus point tally for the weekend was 3 compared to Butner's 8. I still can't get it out of my mind that I lost the championship by 3 points last year, so I better worry about the points. I lost 5 bonus points in qualifying, and that's disappointing, but that's not everything. You have a whole lot more points on the line today. Unless you get the big points, the little ones don't matter. We're struggling to find the tune-up with the engine, but the car is happy, and we're going to get a big weather switch. That could completely change things around. Right now, I'm welcoming that because I haven't hit it right in qualifying. Maybe that will throw me back in the game. It's going to be a duke out, no question about it. We certainly have 3 fast cars, but there are a lot of fast cars out there. Man, pro stock is brutal right now, absolutely brutal. Every 0.001 second can mean the difference between bonus points or no bonus points, winning a round or not winning it. You just have to bring your A-game, baby, or you're going to go home. Qualifying could not have gone much better for the elite motorsports duo of Eric Anders and Jeg Coughlin Jr., whose matching Camaros have struggled throughout the season. After extensive work to the chassis of both and test sessions in Noble, Oklahoma, they hit the ground running in Anders' native Texas. Anders posted runs of 6.651, 6.634, 6.652 and finally a 6.629 to qualify 5th, her best qualifying effort since the Seattle race, which was 6 national events ago. Coughlin ended up 9th, his best showing in the last 3 events. This weekend has definitely been a big step in the right direction, Anders said. Rick Jones, chassis builder and crew chief, did some things to the cars after St. Louis and they're working much better, so we certainly have a lot of optimism. We definitely felt like we had a much better handle on these Camaros. After Friday's sessions we were 3rd overall. We didn't make a great run Saturday morning and got bumped back a couple of places to 5th, but that run was still a lot better than we have been doing. The last qualifying session, which was the worst session of all for as far as conditions go, we made our best run. Despite his 9th place ranking, what impressed Coughlin was his passes comparative to others in his qualifying sessions. If the corners are up on my mouth a bit, it's certainly because we're as close to the front of the pack as we've been in quite a while, Coughlin said. We've been in the top half of the field in all 4 sessions here and ended up qualified number 9, which is pretty wild. We started off number 5, got bumped to 6, got bumped to 8th and ended up 9th. When you've got a tight field like we've got this weekend, that can certainly happen. Most importantly, we've been within 100th to 200ths to the quickest car every session except for the one round Bow Butner ran .58, so I feel like, quite honestly, we have our race car back. We actually feel some real excitement heading into race day, even though we'll have a tough draw right out of the gate. It's been a busy weekend for Alex Laughlin, filled with duties beyond driving his pro stocker and a fuel dragster. Camera crews hung on his every move Friday and Saturday, and the head gas monkey, Richard Rawlings, was also on hand to watch qualifying. All of that made Laughlin's first round victory over fellow Texan Chris McGaha, a whole-shot win as both ran 6.562, all the more enjoyable. It also was Laughlin's first round win since a semi-final finish in Indy over Labor Day weekend. This has been a huge weekend for me and all my sponsors: Gas Monkey Energy, Advance Auto Parts, and Havoline, said Laughlin, who hails from Granbury. It's a home race with family and friends, and we've had 3 races in a row with S first round loss, so we really needed this. The stress is over. One of the best stories of the second half of the season is Scotty Polacek. The veteran rider has improved as the season has gone along, as part of the Stauffer Underdahl team, thanks to finding his groove on a new bike with a new combination. Starting out with that team featured some growing pains. We had trouble making the bike go straight, said Polacek. We didn't get the bike to go straight until Sunday in Gainesville. Once we got it going straight, it took us some time to find the baseline, so that we would know where we wanted to start anytime we went somewhere. Everything just took a little while, so it would have been good if we had a little bit of testing and had been able to take care of that before. That's a relatively common problem when getting onto a new bike, apparently. We started with Jimmy Underdahl's setup in it, and we have totally different riding styles, said Polacek. You turn the axle to make it go one way or another depending on the conditions and who's on it. So, it turns out that where Jimmy had it set isn't any good for me. The way they set up a bike depends on a handful of factors. It's your weight and how you sit on the bike, and if you have any part of your body that's out in the wind, that affects it, said Polacek. I ride differently than he does. He leaves all tucked in, and I ram forward with the motorcycle, and that completely changes the motorcycle. That changes how it's 60 foots. It's little things like that you wouldn't think make a difference, but it does. It just takes a little while to find the sweet spot with all that. Polacek has moved up to 6th in the countdown to the championship thanks to steady riding, including back-to-back semi-final finishes in Reading and St. Louis. He has 6 semi-final appearances this season, but is looking to reach his first final of the season. Polacek has 5 runner-ups in his career, but has not picked up a Wally yet. To chase down a championship, he'll likely have to cross a win of his list, too. Eddie Kravik earned his 4th #1 qualifier of the season, and in the process of doing that, grabbed underscore of 12 available bonus points. In that process, he increased his grasp on first place to 22 points. That means the Harley-Davidson rider is now more than a round ahead of second-place rider Latonglet. That's a big deal as the chase for a mellow yellow championship heats up. As much as I want to tell you I don't sit there thinking about little points moving forward, I do, said Kravik. I want to be a points hog. I want to grab every single point that I can get moving forward. The way I look at it is, just go out there and win the race. Just gain points on the individual. I'm going to do the best I can on race day and see how this all shakes out. Kravik and teammate Andrew Heinz are on the other side of the bracket, which is also good news for the Harley-Davidson team. Other good news for the team: Latonglet and his teammate, Jerry Savoy, would meet up as early as the second round on race day. That could have huge playoff implications. Of course, that only matters if Kravik goes rounds. He bowed out in the second round 1 race ago, which followed a 3-race win streak. His 5 wins this season match what he rolled out in 2016 and 2014. His last championship came in 2012, when he won 8 races. If he can reel off wins in the final 3 races, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Starting with 6 wins would be a good place to start. This isn't how Jerry Savoy and White Alligator Racing teammate Latonglet drew up their ideal bracket. If the duo both win their first round matchups, Savoy against Gunnar Courtney and Tonglet against rookie Joey Gladstone, they will meet up in the second round for the 3rd time this season. We haven't had much luck there, said Savoy. I blew up an engine on Friday and put another one in, broke a vacuum on that and put a 3rd one in, and then did okay, so we'll see how we'll do. Those meetings have been split evenly so far. If there's a silver lining, it's that Tonglet went all the way to the final in Reading after beating his boss in the second round. When Savoy took down his new teammate in the countdown opening race in Charlotte, he bowed out in the semifinals to points leader Eddie Kravik. This isn't how either of the riders wanted race day to end up, but with Savoy about 6 rounds out, and Tonglet a pair of rounds behind Kravik, this race is a big one. So, the goal is to get one of the 2 riders into the winner's circle. At my age, even last year, winning a championship wasn't something I harped on, said Savoy. I'm just thankful to be here. Savoy is looking for his first win since Brainerd 5 races ago, while Tonglet is looking to go back-to-back after capturing the crown in St. Louis. The Nitro Fish rider made a habit of that early in the season, when he won 4 of 5 races. Getting a yellow hat in Dallas would go a long way towards getting him a second Mellow Yellow championship. Photos. The annual Drag Racing Association of Women auction is always a highlight of the event. NHRA announcers past and present, Bob Frey and Alan Reinhart, were the MCs for the Saturday night event. More than $30,000 was raised at the draw auction for the benevolent organization that helps racers in need as members of the community bid on a variety of drag racing memorabilia. The Sealmaster Track Walk kicked off Sunday's action. AAA driver Robert Hight and NHRA announcer Joe Costello led the parade down the famed all-concrete racing surface. The husband and wife team of Matt and Angie Smith, both of whom qualified for the Pro Stock motorcycle field, walked out together during pre-race ceremonies. Matt later reached the semifinals. Top Fuel drivers Sean Reed, left, and Scott Palmer clowned it up before driver introductions, but neither was able to deliver a knockout blow in their respective first-round races. Retiring funny car driver Alexis DeHorio was overcome with emotion as Texas Motorplex owner and fellow Texan saluted her career with a special edition cowboy hat. Top Fuel low qualifier Steve Torrance was welcomed by the Texas partial crowd, but his day would take a wild turn in the semifinals. Torrance's Capco Contractors dragster crashed heavily in the second round, but he walked away uninjured and prepared a backup car for the semifinals. John Force Racing teammates Brittany Force and Robert Hight celebrated together after their respective wins in Top Fuel and Funny Car, sporting the trademark cowboy hats emblematic of event winners at Texas Motorplex. Robert Hight, Brittany Force, Jason Line, and Eddie Kravik celebrated in the winner's circle. Preview: after 2 days of mid-90-degree weather, a cold front carrying rain blew through the region Saturday night, bringing much-needed relief to the teams. Race conditions Sunday are expected to reach just the low 70s, good news for performance potential but also a total rewrite for crew chiefs. Little of the data they've gleaned the last 2 days will mean much. It's going to be very fast, it's going to be probably very close racing, and for the fans it's going to be great side-by-side racing, said Funny Car Points leader Ron Capps, who was the #1 qualifier until Robert Hight stole the pole in the final qualifying session. For the drivers and crew chiefs it's going to be throw everything you've got at it and we'll see who's left standing at the end of the day. But it's going to be a game changer for somebody. Hopefully we can do what we did last year and improve on our points lead, but to hold on to that #1 spot until that last session, that is the reason drag racing's so neat. You can't count anything out until it's done. It makes the hair on your neck stand up, but in a good way. It's a lot of fun. Everybody here is going to have to throw out everything they've done, Hight said. We're talking serious changes. They're calling for 64 degrees at 11 o'clock, and that is going to be crusher conditions. You can't let up. You're going to see close to national records, if not national records. You could see the first 340 miles per hour run here with the kind of conditions we're going to have. It is going to be as good as we've had all year. Here are the brackets and first draw and pairings from the 4 professional classes.